Welcome, seekers of truth. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe and leave a like, not just as a gesture, but as a commitment to expanding your understanding and embracing deeper knowledge. Your support fuels this journey into insight and wisdom. Let us proceed. We are not exaggerating. This is a diagnosis. We live in a time where the mind has been kidnapped by addictions, distractions, and trash. Digital trash, emotional trash, intellectual trash. This is the era where superficiality is rewarded and depth is ignored, where noise is worth more than reflection, where truth is shaped by algorithms and not by reason. People do not think, they react. They do not live. They consume. They are always connected but completely lost from themselves. The mind, what should be our greatest strength, is in ruins. And the worst part is that many have gotten used to this state. They accept decay as if it were progress. They call decadence freedom, dirt, expression, ignorance, identity. This is the era of filth. And if you do not realize what is happening, you will also sink with it without even noticing. We live in a sick era. It is not an economic crisis, not a visible war. It is an invisible epidemic that starts in the mind and rots everything around it. A generation that does not think, that only reacts. Accelerated brains but empty. Connected but without awareness. People who spend hours scrolling a screen, consuming trash, applauding clowns, idolizing idiots. That is what is happening. A silent, deep, collective collapse. The mind, which for centuries was our most powerful weapon, is now being dulled by useless stimuli, by distractions that only serve to keep the soul asleep. No one studies anymore. No one goes deep. Thinking has become an offense. Silence has become uncomfortable. Reflection is for old people. Today, any thought that requires effort is discarded. Everything must be fast, easy, pre-chewed. What goes viral is not what elevates, it is what degrades. And the scariest thing is that people applaud this. They love the filth. They consume their own decay with pleasure. This is the generation of the melted brain. The I do not care. The it is just a video. The it is just a trend. The it is just a joke. But these little things are shaping an entire culture. And rotten culture creates rotten people. The worst part is that many think this is normal, funny, call it freedom, authenticity, but do not realize they are being trained like animals to think less and obey more. And yes, there are lucid people in the middle of all this. There are people who see, who think, who resist, but they are few. Silent minorities in an ocean of applauded ignorance. We are witnessing the death of intelligence, the bankruptcy of consciousness, the triumph of distraction, superficiality, stupidity decorated with effects and dances. The masses are rotting from within. And not only do they not realize it, they mock those who try to warn them. We live in the era of the cult of filth. The mind has collapsed. The soul has been sold, and what remains? This pathetic spectacle of people shouting for attention while drowning in their own irrelevance. But if you still feel discomfort with all this, if there is still something inside you that refuses this rot, then maybe you are part of the minority that can still be saved and perhaps rescue others. Because in the middle of the filth, thinking is already an act of rebellion. We have never had so much information and so little wisdom. We have never been so connected and so lost. We have never talked so much and said so little. Nietzsche warned, madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, peoples, and eras, it is the rule. And that is exactly it. What was once an exception has become the rule. What was absurd is now normal. Today, stupidity is celebrated as authenticity. Vulgarity became contempt. Ignorance became a stance. The masses consume trash and call it culture. But it is not culture, it is conditioning. And meanwhile, intelligence withers. People who think deeply are called arrogant, complicated, disconnected from reality. Critical thinking bothers because it demands effort, silence, pause. And in this era of constant noise and infinite feeds, thinking has become an almost revolutionary act. Jung Chulan, a Korean philosopher, wrote, "We live in a time when excess, positivity, and stimulation destroy the soul." Burnout and anxiety are not individual diseases, but symptoms of a system that sucks the subject to exhaustion. The modern mind is exhausted, but not from thinking, from fleeing itself. And the worst part is that most do not even notice because they are too busy with notifications, 15-second videos, meaningless memes, victimhood ideologies, and TikTok dances. It is a generation with a melted brain and an inflated ego, capable of memorizing political slogans, but incapable of sustaining an idea for 5 minutes, capable of talking about everything, but understanding nothing. Schopenhauer said, "The destiny of humanity depends on the degree of discernment it manages to cultivate." If this is true, we are very close to total bankruptcy. The truth is, this generation is being educated for servitude, but a sweet servitude with filters, playlists, likes, and digital dopamine. Educated to obey smiling, never question, hate those who think differently, and be offended by everything except their own mediocrity. It is a generation that demands respect but does not bother becoming respectable, that wants to be heard but has nothing to say, that wants freedom but does not even know what it means. As Zygmunt Bauman said, we live in liquid times. Nothing is made to last, neither relationships, thoughts, nor convictions. And that is it. Everything is disposable, including consciousness. But yes, there are still those who see, those who refuse this decadence, people who do not bow before the collective mental filth, people who prefer the solitude of thought to the company of noisy stupidity. They are few, disbelieved, but they are the last hope of lucidity in a world proud of its own disorder. If you feel awake in a sleeping world, then you know what I am talking about. The mind has collapsed, the masses rot, and applaud their own fall. But if there is still a spark of unrest inside you, a spark of revolt against this culture of trash, then resist, think, study, be silent, and rebuild. Because in the middle of filth, thinking is the cleanest act you can commit. Honestly, sometimes I wonder why I do this. I spend hours writing, researching, recording, trying to open the eyes of those who still have a flicker of lucidity. But it seems this generation is sunk in the mud and loves the smell. I am tired of seeing this trash they call viral content. People dancing, shaking, doing dumb dubbing, pretending to live a perfect life while their brains melt, rotten, and moldy inside. And when someone tries to bring something different, deeper, more human, a bunch of dopamine-filled screen zombies come in the comments saying, "But you are using technology too. You're on YouTube talking about this and that. You just want money." Seriously, you really want to compare how I use this with how you use it? I use this because that is where people are. Because maybe someone on the other side will wake up, hear this and say, "Look, it is true. I am turning into a numb nobody. I need to change." Now, you who come here to comment these things, what useful thing are you doing in this rotten society besides consuming crap all day, laughing at stupid memes, and living in a bubble where thinking is a crime. This generation does not want to hear the truth. It wants dopamine, distraction, easy applause. And when someone refuses to participate in this collective farce, they are still criticized for trying to think. It is a generation of people offended by everything except their own mediocrity. I am not here to be nice. I am here because I refuse to become just another one, because I still believe there is salvation for those brave enough to face the mirror. So if you came here to criticize, to pour out irony, look at your life first. What have you built? What have you done? Are you helping someone? Are you waking someone up? Or are you just another one laughing while the ship sinks? If it is the second case, do us a favor and disappear. Because while you get lost in your screen arrogance, there are people here trying with effort to awaken those who can still be saved. But hey, if you are still here listening to me now, it is because you are not part of this collective filth. And I want to talk to you now without irony, without anger, with respect, because I know how much it hurts to be someone who sees in a world that prefers to walk with eyes closed. You feel the weight. You realize what is happening. You see mediocrity spreading, thought dying, depth turning into a joke. And deep inside, something refuses to accept this. You do not want just to survive. You want to live with consciousness, understand things, become someone better, break free from the cycle of alienation that dominates everything today. And that is why you are already rare. Seriously, you may not see yourself that way. You may think you are far from ideal, but just the fact that you seek, listen, reflect already puts you in a different place. You are not part of the mass that wakes, consumes, complains, and sleeps again. You want more, and not just more things, but truth, clarity, direction. While some live through the eyes of others, you are trying to find yourself again. While most run after approval, you are here trying to wake up. And look, I know it is not easy. It is lonely. Sometimes it is tiring to be the one who thinks, who feels too much, who tries to keep sanity in a world that values insanity. It is hard to stay lucid when everything around is excess, distraction, noise, pressure, demand. You look around and it seems everyone is anesthetized. Everyone laughing, dancing, posting, pretending, and you there quiet, watching, trying to understand where everything got lost. But let me tell you something. Even if virtually you are not alone, even if the world says, if this message resonated with you, if you felt something within you awaken, don't stop here. Subscribe to the Being of Knowledge and become part of a community of silent strategists, of awakened minds who no longer fall for masks. Like this video if it brought you clarity, and share it with those who also need to open their eyes. Because true power begins with one decision: to never be the same again. Thank you for watching.